We are going to run this in a couple different parts. Orientation has many, many looks. It can be very elaborate with a giant fancy meal and everybody dresses up. And you go through maybe a slideshow and people get up and talk about things that we do in Ambucks, like fundraisers and activities, socials, uh, and perhaps even some of the officers and who your officers are. That's going to be very important. Some might have a big picnic. You might go to a park. So you just would talk through everything. There are large orientations. There are orientations at a meeting sometimes, just whatever your general meeting is. So all of those work. And we are thrilled that we have such a vast variety of ways to get our information out. But what we're going to do tonight uh, is to look at the national or parts of it, not all of it, but parts of the national page orientation so that you can get an overview of that. You're welcome to use all of those slides, the full set, because it goes into more detail than we are going to go into tonight. The full set is on the internet, and at the end of our evening, Adam will post the links for that. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll have Adam put the slideshow up.
1 second.
Okay.
All right.
Move this around.
What's going on?
Okay. When you first open the orientation, you have a welcome page. That's a good time to do what I just did and welcome all your new members and make them feel invited and happy to be there. Next slide. What is AMBUC? So our national orientation defines it in a few just good sentences, very easy, very quick. And then we've got some great fun pictures over there to the side with lots of smiles because we want everybody smiling while we're doing AMBUC's work. Next. We are divided into regions. We were talking about our regions in our newsletters earlier. So now that's a good thing to show all of your members so they can see how we're divided up. And, if they go somewhere else to visit, they can kind of maybe get a hold of someone and feel comfortable about it. I think it's a beautiful looking map. Next. Our charitable programs run by National. These are the three that come right out of National. Easy, lots and lots of information on our website about each of these three. These are the charitable programs, and so you can go into more detail, and there are more detailed slides in the long orientation. Next, please. Community service. One of the things we do is community service. Here's a list of a few things. I've been watching the internet. I've been talking to different chapters. There are so many different things, and new ones are cropping up all the time. It's great fun to see how creative our AMBUCs really are. So you're going to be working on this at your national level, or I'm sorry, at your chapter level. You'll pick out a few things. You're going to pick out things. Some will work, some won't work. And then the ones that work, you keep using those. Next, please. Our giving societies. This confuses a lot of people. So this is something that to go into, and there are more slides talking about it. And of course, you can have extra meetings later about the questions that some AMBUCs may have about this. Of course, the $1,000 is the full gift, and the $10,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people, but it can be done over a long period of time. We just want to make sure that people understand that. Next, please. Our leadership. Okay, how does it work? Who are all these people? There are many AMBUCs that I've run into along the way, and they're like, oh, well, we just don't know. What is a region director? And they've been an AMBUC for 10 years. So this, if you have a simple slide like this with a little chart, it works out really, really well. And of course, all of this is available on the website as well in different places, but this summarizes it all right here. It does go into each local chapter is organized and guided by their own local leaders, the president, like vice president or president-elect, secretary and treasurer are the main ones. So that kind of brings it down to the chapter level there. Next, please. The National Board of Directors. It's always nice to put that up there and let everyone know who all these people are. I remember as a newer AMBUC, I would just was like, look at all those people. Wow, all the jobs they do. And then, you just keep working and learning, and pretty soon maybe their faces will be up here too, because we always need new people. Next, please. Where is our resource center? I don't know about you guys, but I get that question quite a bit. Where is national? And so then I always tell them, and then I encourage them if they're ever in the area to go visit, because it's a lovely place. We do a lot of work in a very, very small space. Next, please. Who works in our resource center? Well, here they are. The people who are working in our resource center, all their bright, shiny faces, and we are thankful for them. We get a lot of work coming out of that building with just a little bit of staff. So I always try to let everybody know that they need to thank our staff over and over, because they work very, very hard for us. Next, please. The membership hub. Obviously, this is something that is on the newer end of things. This will take more than one run through, but this is the general definition of all of it. And of course, it shows you how to get support there. And that is also on the web several places. So this kind of introduces them to how you find out all the members in your chapter and where to go to make sure your information is correct. Next, please. Our National Big Hat Club. We have to explain to them what is Big Hat, because nobody knows when they become well, rarely do they know. They might know. I'm sure all the people that Fina and Terry and Leo have brought in know exactly what the Big Hat Club is. And it's always fun to talk about it. Some people get very excited and they want a hat really quickly. And so then they go out and recruit. And not only does it assist the chapter, but they get their big hat. And it's just a lot of fun. Next, please. Regional and national conferences. There are people that don't know, especially that we have regional conferences. I don't understand how they might miss that. But when you're brand new, there's a lot of information that comes across, and it comes across all at one time. So we just talk about this. And of course, they can always go back and ask. And when the time comes, right now, our regional conferences are in the spring. So make sure that you promote that at your chapter levels. National conference, we know what it does for us. And it's so much fun, but yet there's so much learning. And you also usually get to go to a really cool place and visit maybe someplace you've never been in the United States. They do give awards. It's not why we do what we do, but it's kind of fun. So this is a slide about the conferences. All right, next, please. AMBUC's Awards. It goes into chapter activity scoring, which is on the hub. And of course, there's a lot more information about it. And then what is a merit award, and the guidelines tells them how to find the guidelines in the next slide, which we're not going to look at tonight. Next, please. Achievement Awards, the next one up, which includes the AMBUC of the Year, Therapist of the Year, Top Newsletter, and Top Community Service. Those very, very, very high elevated awards, because those are, that's a very, very select special group of people. And we want to make sure they're honored for all the work that they do. Next, please. AMBUC nomenclature. Sometimes people will say, I think you're speaking a foreign language. What is this and what is that? And so here's a little page, and there are actually even more. Some of them we don't use as often as we used to. Just check and make sure those dates are correct. But when we start talking about it, they can go back to this slide, or they can ask the question, what is a blue chip? Because I don't understand that. What is a spark plug? That's a good one. So next slide, please. And communication. We've talked about communication a lot. It's very, very important. We live in an era of massive ways to communicate, but sometimes it just still seems like people don't see it, don't get it. Maybe we all work a little too fast, we're too tired, and so we miss something. But with this many different ways to communicate, I think we can cover most of the bases. And I'll give a little shout out for Adam, who says, send your news to the ARC. He likes stuff to put in his newsletter and the magazine and all of the different communications, because without you all helping, it won't happen, because he can't see all of it. He can't be everywhere. He's one person. So thank you, Adam, for all that work. Next, please. Now I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Her name is Carol Wade. She has done orientation for the Danville Ambex chapter for quite some time and is very familiar with kind of how to handle an orientation coming from the chapter. Now, your chapter is going to be individual and different, but you're going to see how it's right down to the level of, this is chapter, this is what we need to do. We do define it. Carol, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. So yes, go ahead and
Super.
take it away.
All right. Hopefully there's not too awful much background noise. I am at, as Donna mentioned, I'm at a local coffee shop while my son's at swim practice. So I usually start out our orientation with history of the club. We happen to have a pretty rich history, 1925, long-standing club. And so we'll talk about that a little bit in our orientation. How we kind of got started, got off the ground, where it came from, what the name means. We talk about, because we're a longtime club, we have people who for years still called us the American Business Club. And so we would talk about that to sort of combat that. It's been since 1961, we've been called AMBUCS, and just spend a few minutes on our history. If we go to the next slide. Talk about this being, an organization that has a set standards set as far as, board members, bylaws, standing rules, and all those things. Our board works well to make sure that our local standing rules, our local bylaws are kept up to date. Make sure that, we're paying attention to adherence to those, and, following the prescriptions that are within those bylaws and standing rules. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Next slide. I'm gonna go kind of fast. So Adam, if you're running it, you can just kind of keep moving them and I'll just catch up to you. But our membership is made up of people of all ages, and that's usually pretty evident in the orientations themselves. We invite our members to come to orientation. So even if you don't have a new member that you're bringing in on board or a guest that you're bringing, you can still come to orientation. First of all, we have a lot of fun with ours. I don't know if you've heard of the Danville chapter, but fun's kind of our deal. So, we've had our chapter orientations at cookouts, at a winery, at, all kinds of different places, but we do try to make it fun. When I host them, they might border a little bit on a small corner of comedy show, or just, kind of trying to make it fun for everybody. Sometimes we'll bring in, a guest to talk about how AMBUCS has affected their lives. But the key thing we want people to take away is that you belong here. You're part of this organization. Man, woman, young, old, able-bodied, not able-bodied, a caregiver, not a caregiver, it doesn't matter. You're part of this organization and we want you here. And so that's one of the things we like people to take away from the orientation. We can go to the next one. Like to point out our officers. I'll have these individuals stand. So I'll have all of our officers stand, and I apologize, Donna, we didn't get them updated. This is as of last year. But we'll go around the room, and usually a good number of our officers, if not all of them, are present in our orientations. And we'll give them a chance to kind of stand up, be recognized, put a face with the name, so that when your sergeant at arms finds you at, the next meeting, you know who it is, right? So we want people to have that familiarity with our leaders. The next slide. We do talk about the breakdown of dues. People ask that. They want to know, I'm getting involved in an organization, where's my monthly or my quarterly, or where's my money going? How is it affecting us? And so we like to be very transparent in our club. and just share with them what the breakdown of those dues are. So we talk about, how much stays local, how much goes to regional, to national, what each one of these things are. So I will talk about what is AMBUC scholars and what's the impact of that. What is Ability and what does that mean? And, why do I have dollars that go to that? And what is Cornerstone and what does that mean? And I think people appreciate that transparency in the dues. It is part of our our bylaws too, how we divide those all up. And we want to make sure people understand that, what that monthly, quarterly, however your dues are structured, what that amount of money is for and where it goes. Next slide. We spell out the requirements. So these are the requirements for membership. They're not requirements. You don't have to. In fact, I haven't been to a Wednesday meeting because of my job in quite some time. But I pay my dues. At last count, I think I paid 5 years in advance because I was tired of the annual $90 invoice. I just wanted to be done. We want you to participate in a project or a fundraiser. We want you to support our annual raffle. So our club does an annual raffle that helps offset the cost of the summer camps that we run for our kids. It used to, years ago, pretty much completely cover the cost of summer camps. Doesn't quite get there and covering it any longer, but it's a huge portion of that budget. And we want people to get involved. And our club has a pretty active Facebook group. We have a pretty active online presence. We have a great newsletter that we want people to pay attention to and read. So we just talk about, kind of what your involvement in this club affords you. So that's attending the meeting. We want you to pay your dues. We want you to be part of a fundraiser or project. We want you to sell at least one of our October raffle tickets. And then we want you to be interactive with us online on such as Facebook. Next slide. Then we go into what some of those fundraisers and projects are. And this will be different for your club than it is for ours, I'm sure. But we talk about those fun events. And this is where, for me, I like to talk about both the fun that these events are, but also the impact, what they do for us, what they do for the community. So if we're talking, for instance, about our baseball team sponsorships, or our raffle is a great one. I can just focus on that because it's such an important part of the budget for our summer camp. So we talk about how we raise the funds and the impact of each one of these, and what the duties are that are involved, and what your volunteering commitment might look like. For Barstool Golf, gosh, you might have to sit in an establishment that sells alcohol for 3 hours or 2 hours or 4 hours, depending upon your shift, and watch people play putt-putt. That's kind of fun, right? It's not super hard work. You're serving a vital role, and you're helping our club raise several $1,000s. So we do talk about kind of it's the give and the take. What kind of volunteerism are you giving us? And then what does that in turn do for the club? And then what does the club do with the funds that are raised? So I spend a little time on that. Next slide. Then we get into mission. These are more mission based, and they still take a lot of volunteers. These are not fundraisers. So we talk about our club is big in Challenger League Baseball, which is adaptive baseball league for children with disabilities. We talk a lot about that. It takes a lot of volunteers to do and to come and be a buddy. And we'll touch on that. And sometimes, especially more recently, since we've named Challenger League after one of our members who passed away, it's a tug at the heartstrings moment, because it's an experience. You see kiddos, whose siblings and neighborhood kids, are wearing their baseball uniforms around all summer, and, talking about their last game. And, you talk about kiddos that haven't had that opportunity, and then we get them out there and they play. And it is unbelievable. If you don't have Challenger League Baseball at your club, check out our Facebook page to see some of the pictures of some of the events that we've done, or check out our Danville Ambuc's webpage. But it's an incredible event and opportunity, and we've been doing it for a number of years. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about our summer camp, which is obviously lots of fun for our kiddos, but it's also a little bit of respite for their families. We'll talk about how they get a chance to do things that they maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to do, which is great. And then we'll talk about gift giving and getting a chance to be Santa, and what that means and how that all works. And I recall, as any of us who are parents do, when your kids said, are you Santa? And I told my 11-year-old daughter at the time, I said, You think I could pull that off? Come on. I'm the world's worst tooth fairy. You know me. You saw me sneaking the Easter basket. Do you think I could really pull off Santa? I said, I'm not Santa. I'm not your Santa, but I'm a Santa, and I'd like to bring you to this. And so I brought my kid to help wrap presents and be Santa for our Christmas party. You know, be Santa in terms of the gift giving and the wrapping and putting the hands to work. And so we talk a little bit about that in the local service projects portion of our orientation. We can go to the next slide. I think I'm done. So yeah, that's what I do. Keep it fun, keep it light, and keep it short. And we feed them, and we have a good time.
Thank you, Carol. That was kind of a general overview because we want to make sure we have time in a bit to let you guys, the rest of you, ask questions or maybe share something that you think is spectacular about an orientation you've been to, or maybe just a great idea you've come up with, and we'll share it because we love sharing our ideas. Remember I said we do big fancy ones sometimes and big socials. Danville is way into that. And we enjoy it, and we have our slideshow and so on and so forth. It is also longer, but we're doing pieces and parts tonight that will also be available for you to take a look at. Andrea Buckaloo did one at their region conference. It's great. However, they are on a cruise and she could not be with us tonight. So the fact that she said, well, maybe I could find a computer, and I thought, oh dear, maybe the internet will be iffy and you should take your vacation. So we'll get that one out as well. So our third guest speaker tonight is Robin Rapp from the Keystone chapter in the Northeast region. She's our region director up there. And so Robin has held and participated in several where they were more or less just kind of gatherings, and they went over a lot of information. So we're going to have her talk about how to have an orientation that is more on the relaxed and sharing side. Robin, are you there?
I am. Um, so yeah, no, I'm almost giving you a little bit of patchwork tonight in what I was going to say, because many of you know the chapters in the Northeast region have not had a great influx of new members lately. So we haven't really had that many orientations. Last year, I even did a regional orientation because there were some chapters that didn't do an orientation at all or didn't have anyone that they were bringing in. So it was kind of a refresher for them. And then I was with West Narton until about 6 months ago. And now I'm with Keystone. But other than myself, they haven't welcomed a new member in a couple of years. So a bit of patchwork here. In West Narton, the last time we did one, it was at someone's home. There were probably 6 members from the chapter and just one person coming in. So it's a very intimate setting in somebody's living room. And that way we really focus in on the friendship. So we give them an overview, but it's more about getting to know them and having them get to know us. We do go over, I'm going to call it the Ambucks lingo, because sometimes, we all get talking and people are not quite sure what we're talking about. So we tend to do that first, just so that they're not completely lost. And then we do the standard things that you just saw in Donna's presentation with the organization structure, the chapters structure, the officers, and we asked most of the officers to try to attend this get together. I'm not even going to call it a meeting, so that a new person can get to know them. When I did it on a region level, I had someone speak from about 4 different chapters so that they were putting their flavor into the presentation as well. The last time I was involved with one, we asked the person to bring their laptop or tablet with them. And that way we helped them get set up on the hub and also showed them where the different social media connections were so that they could like those and then start to look at things online. Also told them about the magazine. And then we do maybe a little bit more of a presentation on the activities, both the social and the fundraising, because we really need people to participate in those. I wish we could say they could attend 1 or 2 a year, but we really need them to attend more than that because we just don't have that many members to support those activities. So we talk about that a lot and how much fun they are, also including the community service projects. And then we talk a little bit about the conferences and what the worth of those conferences are, how they would get to know more people, get to know more about the organization. We have a small percentage of people that attend both the regional and national conferences, so we really try to talk that up a bit. A little conversation about the costs, although they normally kind of know that from the beginning, just because whoever is bringing them in has talked to them about that. And then I always suggest that people follow up with an email after the orientation to just kind of hit those highlighted points again, and also provide links to those different social media outlets, and then of course who in the chapter can help them with the hub before they have to go to the hub support or the ARC, because sometimes that's a little intimidating for someone in the very beginning because they feel like their questions are so elementary. So that's about it.
Thank you, Robin.
Certainly.
That kind of gives us an overview, and we are perfectly on time. Here are the links to the orientation examples. Of course, Welcome to AMBUCS is the name of the one for national, and there's the Danville AMBUCS orientation PowerPoint. One can take those. You can add slides to it to do your own local. You can delete slides that don't pertain to you or use them for use them to help you create your own slide with your own, say, do's or your own activities and so on and so forth. So at this time, I'm going to
One
open it.
thing, I can
Yeah,
send
and
I'll send an email to everyone on the call, with links to download those presentations.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be lovely. We are going to open it up to people who have questions, or if you have an idea, suggestion, but I will ask that you either try to do this and we'll call on you one at a time so that we're not talking all on top of each other, and it'll be easier to hear what's going on. I hope you got some great ideas, but I'm sure there are some questions. Who would like to go first?
I saw Steve Davis waving.
Okay, Steve.
Hi. Well, we are not great at recruiting new members, which we really need to work on. And but we do have one that is just 2 weeks old. So these are all great ideas. And well, she's older than 2 weeks old, but she's
like,
not as old. She's not as old as me. But you know, yeah. But anyway, she's really kind of gung ho, and so we're really excited about that. So, but we really need to work on it. And I tried to recruit some more of our members to attend this meeting tonight, but as you can see, that's that's not the case. But anyway, but I will pass these ideas on, and yeah, gives us an excuse to have a party. And if Cheryl needs an excuse to have a party, she'll rise to the occasion. So.
Great. And when you speak, we can see people's names, but if you would let us know what chapter you're from.
Okay, I'm from Walker, Michigan, in case people don't know. I'm a new member. I've only been a member since 1986. So.
Well, thank you, Steve. We appreciate all
You're
the
welcome,
years
Donna.
of dedication that you have given to
Yeah,
AMBUCS.
I told Janice this morning when I talked to her that I haven't regretted a moment of it. So, yeah. And I have to say that it was a pleasure to talk to Janice, and as well as a pleasure to talk to Adam today. And he really helped me out. So kudos to both of them. And I suppose Jessica's not so bad either. So, you know.
Thank you. And if you are not using your video, you can use the hand waiver under reactions. I think I put one up there just for an example for you. So Who else has a question or a comment or an idea?
I'll add
Yes,
something, Donna.
Matt. Mhm.
Of course, me being a numbers guy, one thing that I think would be good to add to like the national slideshow would be to say we give away, on a yearly basis about 2,000 Amtrakes. We give away 230 scholarships totaling about 200,000 K a year, as part of our mission base as an organization. And at the chapter level, perhaps say what you're doing. We gave away 25 Amtrakes last year. This year, we're looking at giving away 30 to 35, and we're hoping that you new members can help us achieve that goal. Try to fire them up a little bit with that, and maybe give them a one-liner hook. I hope I'm not messing this up. I think Jessica, you had mentioned at the in the past that we're one of the, if not the largest giver of scholarships from a nonprofit organization. That's kind of one-liner that you can send a new member out with, and they can go and pass that message on and feel and have a little, pride in what they're joining.
And the national orientation does go into detail. Remember, we just showed the one slide. It takes each of those parts and breaks it down somewhat. However, that might be something, Carol, that we can add to our Danville one about how many trikes we give away and so on and so forth. Or
Yep,
maybe
excellent
could,
suggestion.
Mhm.
And to piggyback on that, I wanted to say that one of the reasons we try to get our members to come is I always would learn something. Before I was the person doing the orientations, I would go and there was always something that I picked up. Oh, I didn't realize that we did that much in scholarship donation, or oh, I didn't realize that we gave away that many Amtrakes. And so, you can use it as a way to reorient or renew interest in your existing membership as well. So even if you're a small club that, doesn't have a room full of people that bring into orientation, try to do it in a way that your existing members can attend, because you can get their interest resparked by sharing some of those points on how you distribute the funds and how the work that you do makes a difference for people.
Thank you. Who's next? I see a lot of faces out there that I know like to talk. Yes, Jessica.
Just had a comment. I thought Robin saying that she follows up with an email was really, really, really a simple but great idea that I hadn't thought about. So I think even if you're doing a full-fledged presentation, I think following up, because it's information overload, is a really great idea. Also curious how often you're doing orientations. So I know Steve said they just recruited someone who's fairly new. Are you only doing it for new people, or are you periodically doing this? Because again, information overload.
And as Carol said, that's how she learned a lot along the way as she was coming up the ranks. She just kept coming to orientations and always learned something each time.
Yeah, part of that was, trying to sponsor new members. And so I would always come to support my new members. But, even if I didn't have a member there, I did appreciate the learning opportunity. As far as frequency, I would say we had historically done them about 3 times a year. You try to do them after your big membership drives, and we try to go ahead and get it on the calendar. That has, COVID has changed so many things. And I would say that is one of the things that COVID has changed. I think I've been doing the orientations for maybe the last, I don't know, Charlie's 16. So maybe the last 16 years or so. And we don't do them as frequently as we did because we don't have as many new members as we did. But I think if you try to time them and plan them and give people a lot of notice and maybe have them be around some of the roundup or some of the membership drive times, you can perhaps get some better attendance from your existing members.
Yeah. It almost feels like you could kind of make it a hybrid presentation of updated facts and figures, and it's not necessarily a new member orientation, even though it could serve that purpose. But I don't know. It could just be a fun social info share.
And I think if you look at the span of Robin meeting in someone's living room to going out, we'll say to a winery or a brewery and having a big social party. Um, you can still do all the same things, and you can create that idea of educating everybody along the way. I think we try to do that as well. We're always putting new things in our slideshow or just talking about what's actually happening right then with our chapter. In the old days before COVID, we used to do probably 3 a year. We used to strive for 4 a year, but it seemed like that just never came together. So we kind of took it to 3, and I think we need to get it built back up again. I don't know who went first. Paula, I'll let you speak, and then we'll do Rhonda.
Hi, I'm Paula Bleckley from the Woodward Midday Chapter, Woodward, Oklahoma. And I just wanted to say that we do a really big orientation, sometimes out to dinner, sometimes not, so a couple of times a year. But one of the things that we do, or we used to do, what we called it a cope date. And a couple of members and a new person and their sponsor would just meet somewhere, at McDonald's or a coffee place, and just have a quiet sit down and just explain the two things that take a lot of time, in my opinion, and that's our due structure. Ours is a little different, and then, probably a lot of you have meals included in your dues and stuff like that. And, you have to explain that whether or not you attend a meeting, you're still paying that X amount for that meal. And frankly, that's goes into our budget, and we appreciate it when you don't show up. But I mean, you do. And then also the different committees. Yeah, you have your big committees, but there's little committees, and you always, you try to get people to to pick a committee that they would enjoy, but sometimes it's almost like pulling teeth. So just having a little sit down and say, these are the things that we have, and start them out on like the meet and greet committee, the people that greet everybody, so that they're there with someone who's used to doing that and getting used to meeting all the people. But you know yeah, you might go, ooh, a membership committee, that sounds interesting. But do you really know what the membership committee really is until it's exactly explained a little bit in depth? No, you don't. And that takes so much time at a big official orientation. So that's why we like these little Coke dates. And that's it.
Thank you, Paula. And that's a great idea. I love that. We'll make a note of that for sure. Rhonda, if you want to share.
Sorry. So we try to do a orientation each quarter. Most of ours we do at a meeting. And what we should do is we take the months that have, because we meet on Wednesday mornings, and we take the months that have a fifth Wednesday, and we use those for our orientation days. So we make a big deal out of trying to get the new members to come on those days. But if not, then whatever we do, and sometimes we do a game that incorporates the information, or sometimes we'll do, just slideshows or whatever. We try to do all kinds of different things, but try to do them where we already have those members there, because like you said, we always learn something new and different way of approaching things, and little different details here and there. So that's kind of how we do it.
That's a great idea as well. Alex Seltzer.
Yes, good evening, Alex from Altoona. Back in the old days, before COVID, we used to do them pretty much on a regular basis, probably quarterly, but then COVID hit and we weren't getting that many new members. So what we do today is, we try to do them together. When we get a lot of new members, we've had a good month or two. We've got 5 new members in the last 6 weeks. So we'll try to get them together, but as somebody else mentioned, they don't always come to the meeting where you want to do the orientation. So we get them when we can. The one thing that we do that I want to share that I think helps us is we have a membership committee on the board. We have a membership chairperson on the board that has to report every month. I held that position for years now. Phil Sukenik holds it, but that's kind of important. And we follow the handbook, I think, that we got from National as far as committee roles and responsibilities. So we're pretty clear on what needs to be done, including orientations. But I think it's key to kind of have someone responsible. And I always encourage people, whether it be membership or another committee, have more people on your committee. Don't you just do it, have other people on your committee. So that's what I would recommend.
Great idea. Great ideas. Yes. And having a membership committee is really important. Some people use their big hat officers as, or their big hat officer as the chair of the membership committee. And then they go out and, fill the committee positions with other members.
Good idea.
But I've seen that in a lot of chapters because they're the movers and shakers of membership anyway. Great. Any more ideas or suggestions? I think we're hearing a lot of interesting. Yes, Gordon, go ahead.
Yes, we have our orientation at least twice a year. Our goal is actually every quarter. It doesn't always work out that way. Well, one of the things that we do on our orientation is we have one person that's overall responsible for the orientation, but it is not given by one person. We have multiple people within the chapter, and we designate differing areas. Number one, that helps new members learn other members of the chapter. One of the other things that we do, it's a simple thing. I guess I kind of like to call it, we give them a gift. The gift is a calendar, and it's also a chapter roster. So when they leave the orientation, they're leaving with something. And we do, I won't call it a talent sheet. However, we give short briefings on the different committees that we have within the chapters, and talk to people and ask them to sign up for what fits best for them, whether it's ramps, Amtrakes, socials, membership, whatever the case may be. We try to get the new members signed up for it. We've done it a couple of different ways. We've done it in a formal setting. We've done it in a chapter meeting. That was basically for the entire chapter. We've done it over hamburgers or pizza, and we've done it in. We've actually done one prior to an Amtrak build. So we try different ways to do the orientation, and I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Gordon. Yes, Tina. We can't hear you're muted, Fina.
There we
you
go. I can't get that stupid little thing to slide up. One thing too that we probably should include in some slides is if you have full membership or associate membership or friends membership, kind of going along with the dues structure of each chapter. I think that's important to, let them know during orientation, the different levels, just like the, I can't remember her name that did the presentation, for Danville.
Carol Wade.
Yes. you know, talking about, you know, paying 5 years in advance because she got tired of that invoice coming in yearly. So I just think that's important to include the different memberships that we do offer.
Yes, Paula alluded to how her chapter has a more complicated you know, presentation of their dues. So that's going to be very, very important. At this time, Danville has switched to one kind of membership, very simple, and you happen to see that one presented. But there are many, many, some that include meals, some that include socials, some that, yeah, it varies with every chapter. So I think that is extremely important. Yes, Fina.
No, I already talked. I can't
Oh.
get myself to mute. So
Oh, well, your hand is still raised too, so we'll just ignore it. So you'll have to
yes.
do this if you really want to talk, okay?
Okay, I will.
Anyone else? Yes, Jessica.
I'm sitting here wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea to put in there what comes with that membership. So many of us have a hard time getting people to pay for membership dues or wanting to buy in because it costs them to volunteer. So if we broke out, there's liability insurance that comes with it. There's a magazine that you get every quarter. There's, you know, pro bono services that you could take advantage of. There's access to different types of training. If you're a therapist, you can get reduced rate on CCU training. And I'm thinking that if we can also reiterate what all comes with this membership, especially with new members, that is showing the value added back into their lives.
Right. That is something to add. A slide with that on it would be great because yeah, people ask that a lot. A lot of times I know when I'm out getting members, well, why should I have to pay? But I go into the, you know, these things like, you know, the insurance particularly, but the magazine and training and so on. I hadn't thought about the reduced rate for the therapist, but that's a big perk. And we're getting more and more therapists in our chapters. Excellent. We're getting a lot of ideas out here, so you all can make your own slide presentations, whether you use them or not. Keep them so you know what notes to talk about when you have your just sitting in the living room or Coke date. I love that. That's fun.
Hey, Donna.
Yes, Fina.
I can't get my video to come up either. I'm sitting in the car at a Cub Scout meeting doing this. So the one thing too is letting, you know, when you're talking about Big Hat, that the National Big Hat is on the national board to represent
Yes.
them. Because that wasn't in the slide. So
the officers were all listed across there.
no, but not on the national board. It just
well, then we need to fix that slide. I think we divided it into two slides. I mean, I didn't write it, but Adam can probably speak to that better than I. I think we divided it into two different slides so we could specifically talk about Big Hat. Would you like to address that, Adam, or you're just agreeing?
That's fine. We can certainly we can combine those slides.
Yeah, I made a note to maybe move it up in the slide deck.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you, Fina.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Gordon.
Yeah, I guess I'm not done. Robin had mentioned her region orientation that she did. That was an orientation that Carmela and I showed up at the same place at the same time and didn't bother to tell each other prior to that. But we did. But you know what? That was a very good orientation, and I think one of the things that's very useful out of it is if you have a number of chapters in a geographical area, you could actually do that and do it very well. I know within Great Plains region, you could do it. You know, Lawton could do it. Enid could do it. Salina could do it. But you could get chapters in a geographical area and do something very similar. But as that night worked very, very well for Robin and the Northeast region.
Yes, that's a great idea. In fact, I thought Great Plains had done a region orientation. I must have been mistaken.
No, we did it at we did it as a general session during region conference last year.
Yeah, I do remember that. And we'll try to get that particular slideshow to Adam so he can get it on the internet. But like I said, Andrea is on a cruise and she did a very nice job with that presentation. Unless you have it, Gordon.
I am sure I do. I think she just took the one that was from the national, that's on the national site,
Okay.
and just changed it somewhat to be more chapter oriented, if you know, in particular for her chapter.
Yeah. And that's what most of us do, take the national slides and then, you know, fix them differently. I'm not sure if Fina is just wanting to speak again or if her hand is still up.
I do,
stuck.
Donna.
Oh, yes, Carmela, go ahead.
I know that I'm going to speak with Gordon on Robin's little one that she had. I would tell you, I think what made it really effective was there wasn't a huge group, but the group that was there was very into it. And I think sometimes we're always worried about, oh, we have to have so many there. And really, I think the amount of people she had there made it so effective. I think everybody walked away feeling, even myself, feeling like, wow, we learned something and we got a lot out of it because it was a small enough group. It was a big enough group that you got information to share, but it wasn't too big. And everybody could partake and give their opinions and learn and ask questions and feel real comfortable about it. So sometimes I think we worry too much about, oh, we got to have it huge. No, I think sometimes the small one's just as good.
Agree. That personal contact is so effective, and then people, the shyer person isn't afraid to speak up and ask questions and, you know, ask for clarification. So, and the fact that 2 national officers were there probably didn't hurt either. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So thank you guys for showing up there.
That's my sister. She's impressive.
There-
I
That's
agree.
correct. Okay. Other comments, additions, so on and so forth? This has been great conversation. I hope those that didn't speak have actually gotten some information that they can take back. If you have, yes, Donna Whitcomb.
I don't mean to be critical about my regional conference, but I was a little bit, because I wasn't involved in the planning of it at the beginning because we were still in Florida and nobody asked us to give our 2 cents until it was all planned. I was really disappointed that we couldn't do that. I agree with having something like that at regional conference. And I'll be blowing a stink next year if if we don't, because it was a lot of good socialization. It was good fun, but my club in particular, out of, well, how many clubs are in my region? About 7. We needed orientation, and it didn't happen. But
Well, most of the time the orientations do stem from the chapter level because they can be very chapter specific. What Andrea did for their conference was that overview, and then of course she said, like we did tonight, that you'll have to take it and go to your own chapter and do your individual ideas. But you know, Donna, I think you just volunteered to do that for Robin's conference next year. That's what I heard. I don't know what anybody else heard, but that's what I heard.
not Robert. I'm not in Robert's company. I'm in Mid States.
Oh, you're in Mid States. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I said the wrong one. All right. Where's Judd? There he is.
He's on there. He's in there.
Yeah. So, great suggestion. You've got one class lined up for you, Judd.
I'm listening.
Yeah, we in Kazoo Valley have a lot of people who have never had an orientation. They just come to the meeting and we plan what we're going to do because we only have 3 meetings a year. We have 3 meetings a year. We do everything else by email and phone call and all that. And we still give away 8-10 bikes a year, and we still are full National Living Endowment. But we only have 3 meetings a year because I'm the president, and I've been the president for too many years, and I'm in Florida for half the year. So I don't get any, I know I need to be better at delegating people to do things other than me.
Well, if we
But
get him an orientation, maybe somebody will volunteer.
exactly. That was my point. That was my point I tried to make when I came back. You have to train, and all those outlying areas, you know, Kentucky and all them, they haven't been to anything. And, you know, maybe they would have come if there would have been something like that.
Well, like I said, sounds like Judd has a class already lined up. If you need help convincing her, you know, I might stop by Florida and see what I can do. Thank you,
All right.
Donna Whitcomb. Anyone else have something else to add? Great conversation tonight. Appreciate everybody's time. We are at 8:29 and we usually try to go in hours, so I think we're looking good. Adam is going to send out the links to everyone so that they can see them. This will be up on the web. The whole class will be up on the web within a couple days. And if you have questions, you know, feel free to ask me, ask Jessica, any of the board members. We're here to help you. If you get stuck and you're trying to prepare an orientation, give us a buzz. We think they're fun, so we're always willing to spend some time helping you create something. If you struggle with a slideshow and you want to do one, let us know. Adam's really, really good at them. We'll just volunteer him right here.
He is really, really good. Yeah.
Yes, he is. And he's very good at teaching too. So that's the best part, because not only can you get what you want done, but then you really, you know how to do it yourself, which is really important. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll call it an evening. And thank you so much for all your input and all these great ideas. I took up like both side pages of notes, and our orientations, I think, will get bigger and better. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Donna.
Donna.
You did a really good job tonight.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your time.